Welcome to another terrain tutorial. So in this video I'm going to be making an old and rusted hangar or factory building. Maybe it's for heavy machinery. Anyway, let's get on to the build. If you like anything you see in this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. It will help out a lot. Alright, let's get started. So I start off by using a bit of this chipboard, and it's 14 centimeters across and 10 centimeters in height. And then I mark out a line 5.3 centimeters up from the bottom. And this line is the base of the curved roof. So I just use a bowl here and I draw a circle round on all three parts. Okay, so next I'm making the two walls. So in height they're 5.3 centimeters, and in width or length they're 15 centimeters. So these will be the outside walls of the building, and then I cut these out using a craft knife, doing several passes as you can see. Next up, on the front main panel, I'm going to cut a door. So I measure in 3 centimeters from the outside edges, and then 6 centimeters up from the bottom. And I draw out this rectangle. And then I cut it out just using a craft knife again. Now to make a door. So again, using a bit of chipboard, a bit bigger than the doorway I've just created, I cut out a rectangle and then I mark it down 5mm, half centimeter sections all the way down both sides, and then using a craft knife I score lines with these markers. And then after that, I enlarge the sort of gap with a blunt pencil, just running it down each of the scored lines, just to make some kind of texture on the door, like so it's almost segmented. Alright, next up is gluing time. So, just use hot glue, and I do a test fit first. I'm just doing this on a flat surface, and I glue the front on, and then the back, and then the wall on the other side, and then my third end piece goes in the center, just to provide some structural strength. Now off camera I've used the wall sections and the front and back and traced them out onto some corrugated paper, which you'll see shortly. Alright, so here's that corrugated paper I prepared earlier, and I'm just going to glue it all onto the walls and front and rear section. I just use hot glue again, chucking loads on, although I actually have to go back and do a bit more later. I've also glued the whole thing to a base, as you can see, which I will round the corners off later. Alright, so we're getting there. So I'm just using some thin card for the roof, and it's 19 centimeters wide and 16.5 in length. So this is going to go all the way over the top, and then I'm going to cut out some corrugated card again for the roof, same dimensions as this piece of card I've just made. And then the long length, the 19, is going across the roof. You'll see, because you'll need the rain to run off, so you don't want the lines going lengthways, you want them going width. You can see from this video. Alright, so gluing time. So I liberally cover the card roof with PVA glue and then brush it all over, making sure I cover the entire surface. Because the temperature out here, it gets tacky quite quickly. Anyway, I then put the corrugated paper on that and then weigh it down slightly. I don't want to destroy the corrugation on the paper, but I do want it to adhere properly, and then I just leave this to dry. Now the building was looking a little plain, so what I wanted to do was add some kind of support columns on each corner. So I'm just using thin card again and cutting out centimeter strips, which I then, using PVA glue, glued to the corners, and then I trim them later. Now, because I want this to be an abandoned, or at least slightly ruined building, I glue on patches of just offcuts of corrugated card and normal card, and I do this all over the walls, the front and the back, and then some on the roof as well, and I just use hot glue to glue these on. Starting to take shape now. I just hack out some gouges on the roof. So again, I don't want it to be pristine. I probably could have done this a bit more and put some holes towards the middle of the roof, but maybe next time. Alright, for a bit of protection, because I don't want any paint like warping the chipboard or the paper, so I give the whole thing most of the parts a once over with a mix of Mod Podge, a little bit of water and some black paint, mainly so I can see where I've put it, but also just to lay down a sort of base colour. Okay, I've given a good old while to dry properly. All those colours coming through of that purple. Anyway, I'm just gonna base around the edges, and I'll do inside later as well. And I'm just again using these small, this coarse sand, little stones, and then very fine sand. After all that's dried, I give all the base a once over with heavily watered down PVA glue, just to make sure that sand or the base material isn't going to move around or fall off. Oh, that took a long time to dry. Again, I sped it up a little bit with a hairdryer. What I do now because you can just about see into this front section of the building, and I don't want you to see anything unpainted or unfinished, so I cover the building in just cheap black acrylic, and then I do the base in a dark brown. These are all quite heavily watered down. Oh, this part was horrible. I'm sure there's a better way, but it's time to attach the roof. Now, I did try this more than once. Initially, I ran over all the top bits with hot glue and then try and stick it down, but it kept pinging off, so I had to peel all that glue off, and then I just went on with PVA, and this did the trick. The roof kept pinging off even still, so I've just used a load of masking tape and stuck it down, and then I peel this off later once it's dried. Painting time! Alright, I'm using, again, cheap acrylics, and I just cover the entire building with silver, and it's a very bright silver. I don't think I will use this again, but it's fine for now. I watered it down a little bit too much at the beginning, as you can see. And then I give the base a coat of brown, and the door a coat of white. So the base coat's all dry now, and then what I do is mix up a wash of burnt umber, bit of red, and a bit of orange, a load of water and some dish soap, and then I slather the entire thing with this. After that first wash had dried, I decided to do it again with pretty much the same wash. And then after this one had dried, I gave it a wash of black as well, including the base. Now you just have to make sure that the wash doesn't pool too much in any area, and you can go back with a dry brush and just wipe the pooling liquid away. This is a bit of a new technique for me. So after all those washes had dried, using a bit of sponge, I stipple on some burnt umber onto any panels I want to look rusted. And I do this all over the whole building. After the burnt umber, I do the same thing again, but adding some orange into the burnt umber. Go back over most of those bits I've done with the brown, and then I use just orange and just do a little bit on those sections. I just wanted to add a bit more stain underneath some of these rusted panels where that rusted water's been running down. So I mix up a bit of black, some burnt umber and water, and then using a fine brush apply this below most of the rusted sections. I don't think the door is looking quite grimy enough, so using the same stain, adding a bit more orange each time, I paint on some stain effects. Dirty water seeping down that door. Alright, so the building is now complete, and I just dry brush some ivory kind of colour around the base just to bring out some definition, and then off camera I add some clump foliage in a few locations and then a little bit of static grass as well, just to finish it all off. Alright, so that's the project done. I'll show you some static images of the finished piece at the end. And again, if you've liked anything, please do like and subscribe. Helps me out massively. Alright, see you in the next vid.